Sunbreak is clearly inferior to Iceborne, but I find myself often wondering, could Sunbreak actually be better than Iceborne? I actually think so. At first glance, it might seem ridiculous, but I think with few changes, Sunbreak could arguably surpass Iceborne in many respects. But to talk about this, we first need to talk about Monster Hunter World and why it was better. A couple weeks ago, I saw this video by Team Darkside comparing World and Rise. And they show all the small ways in which World was superior, all the small details that made the world feel alive and real. And it made me sad in a way. I enjoyed Rise so much, the game feels so good to me, and watching it be so inferior to World in all of these small ways was disheartening. To be fair though, most of these are really small and inconsequential differences that hardly matter. Capcom, why? Give me back my jiggle, what are you doing? So I started thinking, did I actually enjoy World more? What other things do I miss from World that are just lacking in Rise? Well, for starters, the maps are really small and lack detail. I used to get lost so often in the maps of World, and something like that could never happen in Rise, unless I got myself drunk after a lobotomy. In World, almost every monster I fought felt like this towering menace, a terrible beast that could end me at any point if I was careless. In Rise, monsters felt more like punching bags with limbs attached that would sometimes turn over and try to swat me away, like I was a very aggressive fly and they were trying to get in some sleep before work. World felt like there was so much to do, I could never finish it. There was tons and tons of content, and this is without including the endgame grind for decorations, where Rise at release had barely any content, and after crafting sets for every single weapon, I still hadn't spent as much time on Rise as I did playing base World. World had these epic quests. I don't want to mention Fatalis since that was the final boss of the DLC, and Rise isn't quite there yet. But what about Behemoth? That was cool, and I'm pretty sad we never got anything like that. These are some of the reasons I miss World. But it's not just this. Rise itself had some problems too. Rise is a PC port of a game for the Switch. It's a portable game, so in a way, maybe it was never meant to compete with the big boys. But that doesn't excuse some of the flaws Rise had, like the almost non-existent endgame. What was I supposed to do after I was done with the main story and high rank? Rampage quests? That was another thing. Holy shit, rampages are so awful. I don't know who came up with that, but he needs to be locked up. Only 1.8% of the Rise player base have done 50 or more Rampage quests. I know because there's an achievement for that, and I have it. And farming it was honestly painful. But I digress, let's talk endgame. Talisman farming is terrible. In World, you could do tempered investigations, which were actually challenging, and felt fresher since they were limited and you had to keep switching them up. And you would get more and more decorations to improve your builds. In Rise, you can just hunt the most efficient monster over and over, which in base Rise was Narwa, until you get a decent talisman, which wouldn't take that long. And then, when you have it, after a couple hours, that's it. There's nothing to improve. There's nothing more to get. What else am I supposed to do? Keep farming for a 1 in a billion chance to get a god talisman? Or for a 1 in a million to get one more skill on my build? In World, it was hard to get all the needed decos, and it would take a long time, but it was possible. In Rise, going for a god charm is just dumb. It makes almost no difference to your build, and it would take 50 lifetimes to achieve. All this does is blue ball players and encourage them to cheat, which is terrible for the game because it cheapens the experience. When you see the odds of 1 billion to 1 and decide to cheat your talisman in, then you might start thinking, well, Why wait till the end of the game to get my talisman? Since I'm already firing up cheat engine, might as well just get it while I'm still in low rank. And oh right, don't forget to add a ton of Seni and camera points, just to avoid the boring grind. It's my game after all, and I enjoy it the way I want. Maybe there's a monster that I don't quite want to farm for gear, so let's just cheat to get the items. And now I'm too strong to the point that quests just become a chore. So I'll just cheat my kunai to deal infinite damage to get through the quest faster. And why am I playing this anymore? Why am I trying to get stronger if cheat engine makes me infinitely strong already? I'm not saying everyone who cheats an item or a talisman in Rise will have this happen to them. I'm saying this does happen to certain people, and it is very detrimental to the game and the player base. And no, I'm not of the insane opinion that you should be shamed for cheating, or that your cheating somehow ruins the game for me. No, it doesn't. Saying that you could get into a low-level player hunt and one-shot the monster would be a terrible argument, since anyone playing legit could do that at any time, and the low-level hunter could just choose to redo the hunt if they so wanted. But you cheating does affect me in a way. When I am farming for something, I have a goal, and I am slowly progressing towards it. Slowly pushing myself to getting that perfect armor set so I can do peak DPS. And it is really demoralizing to know that someone else just got there in 5 minutes by cheating, and on top of that, unless I do the same, I'll never get there. To end this section, let's talk about healing. Did you ever wonder why you never see wide range builds anymore? We went from you can't move while healing, but you heal in bursts, to you can run while healing and you can evade to cancel the animation, but you heal slowly, to just touching the potion to your lips instantly gives you a burst of healing, and you can heal while running on your dog. Potions in Rise are broken. Just look at this. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to move or evade cancel the animation, but the burst healing is a problem. When potions are this strong, the only way to make fights challenging is by adding one-shot mechanics. Otherwise, it is always easy to just heal and keep going. Any monster that doesn't one-shot you is instantly a non-threat, which meant that Rise was an almost completely challenge-less game. The only significant challenges available in base Rise were the emergency quests, and that was because, well, the monsters on those quests often one-shotted you. But it's not all bad. Let's talk about what Rise did right. Wirebugs are a cool mechanic. The added mobility makes for a way more enjoyable exploration of the map. The maps being smaller, I actually think is a positive. Yeah, it's not that impressive, but it lets me get into the game while having to go through less bullshit. I don't play this game to chase a monster around. I play this game to fight it, which is also why I really like that you can see where the monster is right away. I get the intention behind tracking the monster and finding its footprints and how it's more realistic and immersive, but it would also be realistic if after a 300-ton monster runs me over, I would have to spend several years in hospital and never be able to walk again. My point is, realism doesn't matter if it makes the game less fun. And pressing B on a footprint is not fun. Following the green LEDs around is not fun. It's not gameplay, it's just busy work. If Capcom can make that into an actual fun and engaging mechanic, I would welcome it. But as it was in World, it was just a waste of time. And talking about wasting time, the monster just decided to fly to the other side of the map. Might as well throw on a podcast while I do the fucking marathon to wherever the monster decided to go. Or I could just ride my dog. Palamutes are amazing. The added speed means that there is way less jogging sessions between fights, and that is great. The skill swap system is amazing as well, giving weapons some variety and choice in their playstyle, and yeah, most people will just default to the strongest one, but I think giving us the choice on what to use is really neat. And I really love how you can collect bones or mine by just hitting the node once. Not only making you press the button one time, but only showing you one of the animations. This is a blessing. But most importantly, Rise just plays better. It feels better to play. I think it is a combination of the added mobility and move variety on the weapons, but going back to World feels sluggish in comparison. So we talked about what Rise did wrong and what it did right, but what could it do to be better? Sunbreak did address some of the problems base Rise had. You might remember me complaining about healing and how the only way to make fights challenging is by giving monsters several one-shot attacks. Well, Capcom came up with a pretty nice solution to that, which is Bloodlight, and this works great. Afflicted monsters felt challenging and the game seemed to be headed in the right direction. As I was playing through Sunbreak and I failed the quest for Afflicted Aurora count for the 4th time, I realized I was losing because I was playing on a base Rise mindset. But now I wasn't fighting a bag of bones and meat that occasionally moved. I was fighting a monster, a terrifying creature. This is exactly what was missing from Rise, but Update 1 brought us back several steps. The new afflicted monsters are a bit of a problem. Bloodlight was already a perfectly fine mechanic to deal with Rise's healing problem, because this way you don't have to rely on cheap one-shots. So why, after introducing the perfect fix, did you put it on monsters that all one-shot you? This completely defeats the purpose of Bloodlight. Look, call me a giant pussy, but I actually do like difficulty in games. It's often something that I actively look for. But killing the same monster that I've already killed 20 times, but this time it kills me in one hit, is not good difficulty scaling. So how do we fix this? Well, first we tone down the damage on monsters, so they kill you in 3 to 4 hits on ranged weapons, and 4 to 5 hits on melees. If you want to keep a more hardcore gamer kind of thing going, just make the monsters faster and more aggressive. And if you want to balance for even a tougher fight, reduce the healing from Bloodlight. This could even play into the monster levels and investigations, because right now I have no clue what they mean. I can't really tell the difference between a level 60 and a level 100 Rathian to save my life. Do they have increased health? Fuck if I know. Do they deal increased damage? Oh great, good to know that now they're hitting me for 160% of my total HP instead of 110% of my total HP. But if instead the monster gradually gave you less lifesteal when bloodlighted and negated more of your healing, then you would have a more interesting, escalating challenge. And then, when you get to level 100, it could be this terrifying challenge where you can't even use potions, and every time you get hit matters, because it will take you a while to heal back up. I'm not saying you can't have one-shots either, but every monster can have 1 or 2 big attacks. You know what I mean, like Teostra's Nova, or Balstrax's Ambush, or his Laser, where you know what's coming, and you know it will turn you into minced meat if it connects. Let's talk random for a bit. Right now we have 2 random systems, and the chances to get either of them to their peak is about 1 in a billion for each. Which means that no one ever, without cheating, will ever have a maxed out build. This is shit, so how do we go about fixing it? How about when we get a mid charm, a decent one? We get to selectively roll certain things about it. As in, if we have a weakness exploit 2/2/2 charm, I can choose to either roll the primary skill, which would swap weakness exploit for something else, the deco slots, which would randomize them to a possible slot configuration in the current charm, or I can roll the secondary skill, that right now is nothing, to roll maybe, I don't know, Ice Resistance 1. Then I can hope to someday get a God Charm, and you could stack the odds, but hopefully not to a ridiculous degree. Let's say 0.5% chance to get specifically what you're looking for on each roll. And don't play dumb, Capcom, you know exactly what we want to see on those talismans. Let's say the best talisman for a certain weapon is Attack Boost 3, Weakness Exploit 2, 2/2/1. Then you make the chances to get those specific things on that talisman 0.5%. This way, hunters can keep building and improve on their existing equipment, feeling a sense of progress towards a naturally achievable goal instead of basically playing Monster Hunter Lottery, with the same odds of winning as the actual real lottery. With this, you could also reduce cheating, since now speedrunners can actually get their charms in a reasonable time frame and have all dedicated hunters on a level playing field. But now let's talk about curios crafting. I like curios crafting. I think it's a cool mechanic, but again, I have a problem with just the sheer amount of lifetimes it would take to get a perfect set with this. I don't mind grinding, but I would like to know that I'm getting somewhere and not just wasting my time. So how about, instead of the current system, we could pick a specific thing to roll? We could roll to either remove a skill, and it would remove a random number of skills in the armor, but increase our budget, or pick to roll for a skill to add a skill, or pick to roll to add or remove armor to either increase our armor or increase our budget but decrease our armor, or roll to improve decoration slots. Then, when we get the roll we're looking for in a certain category, like skill removal, we move to adding skills and we start trying to roll skills we want. And then we move to removing some armor to increase our budget some more, so we can then move to improving our decoration slots. This would still be extremely grindy, which means most players won't get to have the optimal set, but at least some will try. At least it doesn't feel like a waste of time. This is all something that I came up with in a couple hours while playing the game, so I'm sure that Capcom can do a lot better to design a system that is still challenging and grindy, but not quite unattainable without cheat engine. Lastly, I want to talk about epic fights. I think if this game is going to surpass World, we need a lot of these. But what do I mean by this? I mean things like Arc-Tempered Velkhana, things like Fatalis and Elatrion, or Raging Brachydios. Monsters that are terrifying, but not like this. Not a monster that just headbutts you and hits you for a big number. A monster that goes like... I know Capcom is capable of this. We need more niche monsters with cool mechanics that we can make counter builds for. And for fuck's sake, Capcom, drop the turret sections. These just break the flow of the fight and aren't challenging and uninteresting, and it's mostly what made Rampage suck. Something that is missing from World that could be included in Rise is a sort of ultimate challenge, some extremely difficult quest for the endgame. No, not like this, but how about something like a gauntlet, like in Frontiers, where we had to beat 6 or 7 of the toughest monsters with a shared and limited pool of cards before fighting the real final monster of the game, which should be an absolutely ruthless challenge. I think if Capcom really puts some effort into developing Rise to its full potential, this could be remembered as the Monster Hunter game that got updated into a masterpiece, and as Monster Hunter at its absolute peak. Also, bring back the jiggle physics, for fuck's sake! How hard can it be to add jiggle physics back to this game? Just do you like my ideas for improving Rise? Do you have any of your own? Do you think Rise could ever surpass World? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, have a great day and thank you for watching.